2 SNP MPs and 1 Labour MP were sent to Gibraltar to honour our troops on taxpayers' money, and instead they got drunk and disrespected our armed forces. Well, it is Remembrance Day, and the whole week this is the season of remembering and honouring our fallen heroes, and also not forgetting the current veterans who are being let down by the establishment and society in general. Well, we have some MPs who, well, on taxpayers' money, they go on various trips, this time to Gibraltar, to honour the troops that we have, the bases that we have around the world. What we had, unfortunately, we sent specifically 3 MPs that didn't really care much, apparently, during the trip about what the whole point of that was supposed to be. So we have Drew Hendry and David Linden, the SNP MPs, who have been around for a while now. They've had their ups and downs with the policies that Nicola Sturgeon's giving away in terms of the disrespect towards the union and the disrespect to the whole of the society that we have in general. But the taxpayers and the system decided to trust them, to send them to Gibraltar, alongside Charlotte Nichols, the Labour MP, who has also decided to join them. The issue we have is that at the Heathrow lounge before the flight, they got drunk. They started drinking. And you think, well, that's fine. The trip hasn't really started yet. It is a business trip. It's on taxpayers. And then they got on the flight, and then they had some issues with the airport security and staffers. They had a bit of a fight. And Charlotte decided to get so drunk that they had to use a wheelchair for her to basically get her out of the plane. And that continues. Now, this obviously angered the Defence Secretary, it angered the people who were in charge of the base in Gibraltar, and of course, the organisers in general. Now, the SNP HQ are denying the allegation, despite the fact that apparently there are evidence. There's witnesses, there is eyewitnesses, but also all the statements that came from Heathrow, from British Airways, and from the people in the Gibraltar base. At least the Labour Party have not completely rejected these comments, but the army officers are said to have intervened to tell the MPs that their behaviour was unacceptable. Now, James Gray, who is in charge of part of this group, essentially said that the Labour MP, Charlotte Nichols, got so drunk on the journey that the other 2 couldn't actually even talk anymore. And then he said that I will be having a word with the Labour MP on a Monday. But that's not the main part of it, because they say if it were a simple trip, if it was something like a holiday or not a business trip, it's not even about them being politicians. Any normal corporate trip is the same. The same applies to that. And this is extra because, you are politicians, you're representing the country, but you're also having your trips paid by the taxpayer. And James Gray said, I can't remember a single occasion where anything like this has ever happened on one of our trips. But apparently, this is the new age of politicians that we are dealing with. Considering one of the biggest debates right now in Parliament is about misconduct and behaviour of members of Parliament. And all these MPs, the left-wing MPs who are trying to target the Tory side for Tory sleaze and corruption and, their misbehaviour, it's probably best right now to try and behave for about 10 minutes. Considering we have the Standards Committee being on top of everything now, trying to be competent for once, but we're not really sure why they're not listening to their own advice. Well, on this channel, whether you're right-wing or left-wing, if you don't do well, we will criticize you. If you do well, we will praise you. Try to be objective. We have our bias, but we are trying to be rational. Thanks again for watching. I'm Tousi, and we are the media.